Hmm, what to do to help you with strategic thinking and planning for your business or not for profit over the next 18 months, now that the world has changed because of the coronavirus, Black Lives Matter, and a deep recession. There will be a new normal, of course, but no one can describe with any certainty what that new normal will be. My first thought was to hunt for a crystal ball. Well, no, not really, but I did check offerings on Amazon and found one priced at $17.98, which promised to, quote, bring harmony and balance into your life, unquote. And another with a $29.91 price tag shown perched on a lovely wooden stand said it would, quote, bring luck to you and your family, unquote. Alas, none offer details on the new normal. So I turned to the next best thing, scenarios. More specifically, 4 scenarios I created using processes developed several years ago by pioneers in scenario planning at Shell Oil. I'm Bill Bancroft, managing principal of Cambrio. Helping people and organizations with strategy and planning for the future is a key element of my practice. Right now, absent a crystal ball that really can tell you what the future holds, scenarios are perhaps the best way to peer into the future and then create strategy and spur innovation. Futurists rely on scenarios as a critical tool. I love scenarios because they open the path to creativity and innovation. And I've used them several times over the years to help organizations see new ways to tackle hairball problems, like now, when no one can tell you what anything will be like for sure. What exactly are scenarios, and how are they useful in thinking through the questions? The best way to explain them, to contrast them with traditional planning. With traditional planning, participants start by taking stock of where a firm or company or community currently is, and then imagine out to a single point in the future. Finally, those doing the planning put together an implementation plan to reach that single point. The failing of traditional planning is that no one can really predict how the plan will turn out. Unanticipated events, budget cuts, or changes in leaderships, for example, knock the organization off course so that the actual result misses the mark, sometimes by a wide margin. Traditional planning also is open to the criticism that participants don't ask the tough what-if questions, that they will fail to imagine, that their imaginations will fail. Scenarios, by contrast, help do the planning from the outside in. In a scenario project, planners create a number of different possible, plausible worlds in which their organizations might find themselves operating in the months and years ahead. Some good, some bad, some in between. Then organizations use those worlds as tools to figure strategy for thriving, no matter which world they end up doing business in. Truth be told, few scenarios come true in total. The more common outcome is for pieces of each to come true. Tracking signals over time, proving or disproving one or another scenario adds value to scenario planning. Whether they come true exactly as conceived is not the point. The test of a good scenario is not whether it portrays the future accurately, but whether it provides a mechanism for learning and adapting. That is, whether it gets your imagination going. To create the scenarios, I pulled from a variety of sources, including the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the New York Times, the Palo Alto-based Institute for the Future, and other sources. I listed and analyzed dozens of trends to surface a list of critical uncertainties. I boiled down the list to 2, the U.S. economy and societal change. I viewed the 2 as axes, okay? At one end of the U.S. economy axis, the economy stays flat or gets worse. At the other end, the U.S. economy grows. At one end of the societal change axis, people embrace community, transparency, and collaboration. At the other end, they prize individualism, go it alone. I put the 2 axes together to form a matrix with 4 boxes. I created a scenario in each of the 4 boxes and gave them names consistent with the story they tell. Innovation transforms, capitalists unfettered, health pods rule, culture warfare. Can you imagine beginning in the next few months and extending out 10 years what it would be like to be running your business in a world where innovation transforms? The economy would bounce back and innovators would be solving problems like safely eating in restaurants again, or alleviating the fear of getting kids back to school, or finding a long-term solution to stopping the pandemic or future pandemics for that matter. Or what it would be like to live in a world where culture clashes turn into culture warfare, which in turn fails to improve the economy and prolongs the coronavirus pandemic, while precipitating the rise of vigilantes. How does culture warfare work when planning how to operate your healthcare business or your nonprofit devoted to feeding the hungry? I'm glad to share the details of each of the 4 scenarios I've created to walk you through how to use them to do your strategic planning or to spur innovation in your organization. Reach out to me and I'll respond.